Hey, welcome back to the Big Rand Show. Thank you for joining me. A historic event just took place in the halls of Congress. A president was, impeached for a second time. Donald Trump was, of course, impeached for the second time in a year by the U.S. House. The other historic part of it is the fact that 10 Republicans joined the Democrats to impeach Donald Trump in the House. Before that, the most a sitting president had ever had from his own party join to impeach him was Bill Clinton, when 5 people from his own party joined to impeach in the House. But as of this afternoon, Donald Trump, like I said, has been impeached for a second time. Now, whether or not you support his impeachment, it is what it is. He did what he did, and he has to face the music. Now, it's been asked, what happens next? It's not exactly clear because we don't know exactly when the Senate will take up the article of impeachment. Because there is one article of impeachment, inciting an insurrection. And that will go to the Senate. Now, will we get enough votes to convict? I don't know. There are a lot of Republicans pissed off in the Senate about it. We don't know exactly when that vote will even take place. I've heard some people say it may be put off until February or March. I read one article from CNN yesterday that said that some people in the House leadership have said March is when that would take place, because that's when they would send the article of impeachment. Apparently, they don't want to interfere in things getting done the first week or so of the Biden administration. But like has been discussed as well with friends of mine, it's very possible that it wasn't necessary. I understand the point. I get it. We can't let people just do these things. You can't just allow somebody to do this and people to think it's okay. Because this isn't how we do things, right? But at the same time, like a friend of mine was saying, we could have had other things done. The House could have been working on actual legislation to help actual Americans, such as working on legislation for $2,000 checks to the American people. But I get it, and I understand. Also, impeachment would basically keep him from being able to run for president again. And if he was at least found guilty in the Senate and removed, for a removal vote, even though he'll already be gone from office, it would at least prevent him from being able to try to lie to the American people to gain the power of the presidency again. But think of all the things we could have gotten done in the last 2 days if we weren't spending all this time and all this energy on Donald J. Trump. In a way, it seems like maybe he did last week's insurrection crap because he knew the House would take it up and they would impeach him. And he was hoping probably that would clog up the Senate from being able to get anything done and being able to fulfill some of those early 100-day promises that Joe Biden had made. It looks like that will not be the case, that they will not be delaying anything that Joe Biden needed to get done. But we will see. But the fact is, the House needs to get busy on other stuff now. If they've done this impeachment, that's fine. Whatever. And I fully support the idea. It just seems much ado about nothing in a way, because they can't do anything really about it. What he did last week, he did. And it is what it is. But at the same time, we could have been helping the American people. This doesn't help the American people. The impeachment doesn't help the American people. The trial won't help the American people. What will help the American people is getting money to them. That's what will help the American people. Unfortunately, many people don't understand that and they don't care. But on the flip side of it, he did deserve to be impeached. he does deserve to lose the possibility of being president again. I was asked just recently if, it was even worth it. Because he's already leaving, do you really think anyone's going to vote for him again for president? I'm like, yeah. Actually, I think they will. Most of the Republican Party will still vote for Donald Trump. Because they think he's a god. They think he can do no wrong. Now, do I know if he'll win again? Would win again? No, I don't. I don't think the American people would allow for that. But it's also very possible that they would. It's unfortunate, but a lot of people don't understand that he's lying. They think he's telling the truth every time he speaks. They think he's a Christian, even though he's had, 3 divorces and cheated on all his wives. They think, they think he's a good man, and he's admitted to sexual assault. They think he's a good man and can do no wrong. He's been accused of raping a 13-year-old. So yeah, there are people out there that will still support Donald Trump, no matter what he does. As I was sitting there listening to C-SPAN earlier, some of the callers calling in after the impeachment was over, they still believe he did no wrong. There's still people that, even in the House, that believe that it was the Democrats that did all of it. There were people making claims that the reason they were impeaching Donald Trump this time was because he was pro-life. That's a joke. It's got to be, right? They keep making as if last week didn't happen. They keep making as if he didn't incite a coup attempt on our government. Simply because he lost an election. I still get it on my Facebook page as of today that what he did was no different than a BLM protest or the riots that took place after he was inaugurated in 2017. That there's absolutely no difference, they say. But there is. There's a massive difference. Riots, because people get angry and they tear something up, they break something, they set something on fire. That's one thing. That's an organic, thing that happens when people are enraged. But these people planned this. Donald Trump started the planning process for this event in December via his tweets. And then when they got there, he riled them up further. He and his little cronies got up there talking about basically starting a civil war. So how is that not his fault? They showed up to the Capitol with a device to hang Mike Pence and a chant at the door as they were trying to break their way in to the people's house, chanting, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." They brought bombs that they planted around the Capitol. Could you imagine the destruction and possible deaths we would have been dealing with had one of those gone off? Right around the corner from the Capitol, they found a truck laden with explosives and firearms. These people intended to do a lot more than they did. I don't know. I guess when things changed like they did, they weren't able to do what they wanted. Apparently, they didn't realize that Mike Pence would be ushered out of sight. That the people in the Capitol, the congressmen and women, wouldn't have been in hiding at that point. And there's some people out there even being sympathetic to the woman who got shot by Capitol Police because she was breaking into the Capitol building, saying she didn't deserve it. You know who didn't deserve it? George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. They didn't deserve it. And the thousands of other people killed by police for doing absolutely nothing. This woman was violating the sanctity of our Capitol building. She was in with a crowd whose goal was to murder our vice president. Whether or not you like him or not, he's our vice president and you shouldn't want him murdered. Not to mention, he was the vice president that most of these people voted for. The fact that Donald Trump basically sicked this mob of people on his own vice president, let alone trying to overthrow our government, doesn't make any sense. And anyone that thinks it was okay or just the same, it's absolutely stupid. There was no intent to overthrow the government in those riots and protests that took place at the inauguration event in 2017 and the few days following. Same thing with BLM protest. They're not there to overthrow the government. They're trying to bring change for people who have been gunned down for no reason by the police. They're not trying to invade the Capitol building, the White House, or anything like that. They're not trying to overturn the government or the elections or overthrow the government. And one of the callers on the C-SPAN feed said, something to the extent that, the Democrats were egging on all these riots and stuff over the summer with BLM. Like, no, they weren't. Democrats and liberals supported the protests, not the riots. Democrats time and again came out against riots, time and again. And then the big one up there in Portland, the big mess in Portland, most people didn't support the violence that took place. But also most people realized that what was going on in Portland was Trump had sent his thugs in to attack the peaceful protesters. That was his goal, was to make them look violent. There's video showing that they were not violent and when they were attacked by those thugs. Then they lashed out. They lashed out at the people who were attacking them, who attacked them away from federal buildings, and then ran back to federal buildings to say, oh, look, they're attacking federal buildings. No, they were attacking the people who attacked them. Unmarked squad cars were ripping people off the streets and vans and stuff. These people out there attacking the protesters were not, identifiable by any, layman's ability. So no, it's not the same. The intent was entirely different. The intent of BLM protest is to change the laws, to make sure that there is justice for those people who were killed by bad cops. That's what it is. But what took place last week, it had intent to kill our vice president, probably kill Nancy Pelosi, and any Republican that went along with Nancy Pelosi, and any Democrat in Congress. They even brought these little zip cuffs, like they would use for a mass protest or whatever, people that were breaking the law during a protest or something. Because they intended on taking hostages. They intended on murdering people. So yes, he deserved to be impeached for a second time. My only argument is that we could have done other things other than wasting our breath and our energy on him. But I get it, and I understand why they did it. And he deserved it. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? What do you think about the impeachment? Do you think it was warranted? Do you think it wasn't? I would assume that most of the people watching my videos would not think that he didn't deserve it. But you never know who's watching out there. I had a guy the other day thinking that he could just, give me BS about, oh, it was Antifa that did it. No, it wasn't. And so it is what it is. My hope is that Americans never have to see this again, that it never happens again. But unfortunately, we already have armed protests planned for this next weekend. It's absolutely insane. They're planning to have an armed protest in every capital across the country. Does that make any sense? After what just happened? No. Sadly, these people are so mistaken, so misled, that they don't understand, that they don't get what they're doing is wrong. They truly believe that election was stolen when it wasn't. It was a fair and square election. There's been no evidence provided for anybody cheating, fudging votes, or changing the votes. In fact, those machines that they kept bitching about, claiming they changed the votes, weren't even used in the states that Trump was contesting. But let me know in the comments what you think about everything. Let me know. And I'll see you down the road.